So this morning's practice, there was one question asked, and I think that question is quite relevant, and we should understand that question as well. The question was, and which is very normal, after we have been practicing for some times, and if we feel like we have gained some benefit of the practice, mind started to settle the mind in an object, and somehow mind beginning to search for something more than that. It's like our mind is like a fish that just taken out from the water and put it on the ground. Just what's called strive to get to the water. So our mind is like that, and this is what happened. The question was, after been practicing for some times, feel a needing of something else, and so that feel that I am getting better. So that's why, in order to overcome that needing to something, what should be done? So the question was, what should be done? And I'm pretty sure that this happens to all of us after some times. And it's like after the fire of or desire to learn the practice, and you put a lot of effort, and then our mind becomes calm and tranquil, and then what next? And what next? So that sort of things happens. So in that case, even during the time of the Buddha, such examples were there. One of the very close attendants of the Buddha before the Venerable Ananda, who again after that he was the attendant of the Buddha for 25 years. Before him, there was one monk. His name was Megya. He was attending the Buddha, and it happened that one morning was a good sunshine, like last Saturday or Sunday we have here. And he wanted to go for alms by himself. So then he asked permission from the Buddha, saying that, okay, I would like to go to this village for my alms, and then we'll come back. So then Buddha said, if you think so, go ahead. So he goes off and alms, and after having alms and getting food, and after eating the food, he sat down by the river. Before coming back to the temple, he sat down by the river and did the practice. So sitting meditation for some time, and then because of just the eaten food, it's obvious get drowsy. So he did the walking meditation, up and down, up and down. And after that, and then he sits down again and looked through beyond this water, this river, and he saw a beautiful mango grove, and quiet, a bit distance from the village, and serene. So he thought that, oh, this must be a good place to go and meditate, so I can get the good insight, and will be possibly liberated. So, but he was the attendant of the Buddha, so he has to ask the permission from the Buddha. So he comes back to the monastery and asks permission from the Buddha. Now, when he asked permission from the Buddha, Buddha knew that he is not qualified yet to go and practice alone. So then the Buddha said, you have a good desire, but it's not a time for you to go. And the Buddha used the word, I'm still alone here. So he didn't say don't go. He said, I'm still alone here. Wait until somebody comes. So it's not time for you to go and practice in that forest, in that mango grove. But his desire to go was overwhelmed by this desire. So this Mekya persistently speaks to the Buddha. There is nothing to do for you now. Whatever things to be done, it's already done. So please permit me to go and practice. And then the second time, Buddha also repeat the same thing. And then the third time, when he repeated the same, that nothing to be done, and I have done all the things, so please permit me to go. And then the Buddha said that since you have this desire to exhort, to practice, then go, if you think so. So he goes off. He was so happy. He's so happy that I have found this beautiful place for meditation, serene and quiet, and now I will practice here, and I will gain insight. So as soon as he approached this mango grove and sat down under one of the trees, and he sat down, he could not meditate because of his essential desire was so overwhelmed. And which is very normal for us, all of us, that oftentimes we look for some way to practice. We look for some way to practice which we think that this is conducive for us and this is a perfect place for us. And then we sat down and meditate. That's normally the case. And what happened most of the time, then this mind simply travels. Lots of things come and disturbed by this essential desires, and with that it cannot settle our mind down. When our mind cannot settle down, and then we got in trouble. We cannot meditate. Doesn't matter how serene, like coming here. Doesn't matter how quiet and conducive and good for meditation, but your mind is not concentrated. Your mind is distracted by the essential pleasures. Then you cannot. It's like a fish out of the tank. So that's why this happened to this monk as well. And then here again, we have to remember sometimes our teachers also instruct us in a very different way. When they say that don't do it, it's often that don't do it. The moment when we do it, often it distracts us. And that's again because we are having this conceit that this is what I want and this is my view. And with that conceit and a view, we are blocked. And with that, we are not softened. We don't have this softened mind and we cannot meditate. And this happened to this monk as well. So, and he comes back because of unable to meditate, too much distractions coming. So he comes back to the Buddha and I told the whole story that I could not meditate. My mind was simply dwelling into the sensual pleasure, ill will, continuously disturbed by it. So I cannot meditate. So then the Buddha mentioned that it is often the case when our mindfulness is immature. We will have different types of thoughts come and want to do to make it happen. And then we go on to search for something in some way that we think we will gain that mindfulness. And this is normally happen. Whereas someone who is already matured, then they can practice anywhere, no problem, because they have no sensual desires or sensual pleasures been already quietened, and there is no unwholesome thoughts invaded them as well. They will be able to restrain their senses. And with that, then the Buddha instructed, saying that when you realize that your mindfulness is immature, make sure that you have decent friends. Here, decent friends means someone who is practicing together. So associate with that person, practicing together, so that that will help you to gain further practice. And then the second is that not just having that friend, but also make sure that this friend is also practicing some moral virtues. According to the Buddhist principles, it will be like a 5 precepts. So not to kill, not to steal, not to have sexual misconduct, and not to lie, and not to take any intoxicants. So at least ability to reduce or restrain sometimes, some degree. Making sure that this person is practicing according to that one. And in the meanwhile, this person also knows some degree of this meditation. So whenever he teaches or whenever he talks to you about the practice, then he is helping you to understand furthermore. So that is the third one. And actually this is very important, and that's why I always encourage here as well that whenever we are practicing, make sure that if you have any difficulties or any concerns on the practice of a meditation, making sure that you share it so that we learn together. And further on, we have to make sure that we have this decent person or one who knows about meditation. So making sure that getting some instructions, proper instructions, and that's how we can gain the encouragement to practice further. So having these factors or qualities, what happens that we will have the further encouragement to practice. And then the last after that, the Buddha further instructed to have is the practice of a loving kindness and a practice of this breathing meditation. And so as we've been practicing breathing meditation and discussing on this breathing meditation, this breathing meditation here, we already covered this first section or first tretra on the contemplation of the body. So in that contemplation of the body, we focused on and discussed on the long breath, short breath, and how this relates to our ability to be mindful, training to be mindful of entire process of this body and the breath body and this flesh body, and as well as how this tranquilize or calms the both breath body and the flesh body. So if we can practice that, and as we are practicing this ways, gradually what is happening is that actually we are living the sensual pleasure. The pleasure, sensual pleasure that distracted the Meghiya, the monk who attended to the Buddha, was same thing as we managed to develop these four factors: ability to be mindful of the long breath, ability to be mindful of this short breath, and then the relationship with the body, breath body and the flesh body, and calming this both actually helps us to disconnect that. So we'll not have invasion from the sensual pleasure, and meanwhile the unwholesome mental factors will not come. When these mental factors will not come, what happens that at that time our mind has established one sign or nimitta, one particular place to be, and that's how gain the concentration. Without the concentration, it's very difficult to get the wisdom or understanding things the way are. But the moment when we have this concentration established in one object, like let's say we have been practicing the nose, the entrance to the nose, an entrance of the nose, and now when we establish there, as our mind settled and we gain the tranquility and the concentration develops, what happens after that is that gradually insight arises. We're able to understand that, the breath is different. So that is not constant, it's inconstant. And the breath that is coming in and going out, we cannot claim it is as me and mine. It's not me, like that. And that's how the understanding that this is something that we should not be hold on to. understanding this impermanence of the breath. And then that impermanence of the breath helps to furthering understanding that whatever we are observing, which is also known as the Vedana or the feeling, whatever is arising, that subject to ceases away. So that's also just a ability to understand that as the impermanent, okay? And that's how gradually we gain insight into the knowledge. And so after that, so we will be moving on to the paying close attention on the feeling, okay? And that feeling, once we have fully understood this feeling, because feeling is a breeze between the body or external world into the internal world, and not just a breeze between the external and internal world. Actually, it also gives us the insight beyond these two, and so we get the liberation, right? So that's the ultimate goal of Buddha's practice. And here, in order to gain that ultimate goal, which basically means the freedom from suffering, it starts from sixth sense, with all eyes, ear, nose, and tongue, and body and mind that comes to contact, and where this resorts. So this resorts in the mind, and where this mind resorts in the mindfulness meditation, right? Mindfulness. And what is the reason why we are practicing mindfulness, or mindfulness, where this mindfulness resort is freedom. Right? So with that reflection, I have spoken a few minutes more today. So with that reflection, let's practice. Bring attention to the moment here and now. Relax yourself, sitting comfortably. You may spend some time observing the breath coming in, going out. Just be here and now. So spend some time observing the breath. Incoming breath and outgoing breath. And you may extend it to observe the sound of the breath as it comes in and as it goes out. Try to observe the sound of this breath. Along with the sound, try to observe the long breath in and long breath out. And as you're observing this long breath in and out, you will be able to recognize the short breaths, incoming and outgoing. And with these two ways of breathing in and out, long or short, try to notice the effect that happens to the body, how this is making some changes in our physical body. Is it the breath, and then is it the body that is making the breath to come in and out? And try to notice as your mind is settled here and now, observing this breath, and mind is not distracted by any other things. May able to observe the breath is getting calmer, our body becomes calmer, a feeling becomes gentle, mind becomes calm. So practicing in these ways until you hear the gong. It doesn't matter you have to follow. Doesn't mean that you have to follow all these 4 ways of the practice. If you feel that your mind is restless and distracted, you may use even just a one breath. Maybe just observing the breath coming in and going out through your nostrils. And as you develop your concentration or mind settled, and gradually try to recognize the long breath, short breath in relation to the body, and calming the entire breath body and the body itself. So continue practicing.